All right. So the first question is, what has fed you spiritually at St. Paul's, especially during this time of social distance?
Mhm. And for me, it really has been just all the different ways that the community's been reaching out. There's Sunday morning, there's Wednesdays at noon, there's Monday mornings at 8, just kind of all these different times. Um, and you can still also reach out to people. It's really revived the telephone. You can actually make a phone call to people and actually still talk to them. Um, and yeah, so that, and just still people, they're still around in the neighborhood and just kind of running into people around town, the grocery store, post office. Sometimes it's been really nice just to even see people out and about. And I know some people have, there's the worship in the gardens, which I haven't been to, but I'm sure that's quite lovely to actually see that many people and actually still get together in person,
Yeah.
smaller groups.
Community. It's all community,
Mhm.
it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah.
What caused you to make St. Paul's your spiritual home?
We had a pretty short list of requirements that we were looking for in a church. One for me was just to encourage women in leadership roles, and so I was on the lookout for either a woman priest or women in leadership roles. Growing up, I was raised a Southern Baptist, and the list of places that women can be involved in the church is very short: kitchen, Sunday school, nursery, choir was basically the list. It occasionally, and if there was a woman preaching from the pulpit, usually it was part of a couple as a married. So just to encourage women to kind of lean into leadership roles and encouraged to be leaders within the church was one thing I was absolutely looking for. Other was to not only um, affirming of alternative lifestyles, LGBTQ, but also celebrating those lifestyles, not just saying, oh, it's fine that you're here, but don't do any gay stuff. So it's so different to be able to please bring your partner, bring your friends, like that everyone is actually welcome here versus you can come, but we'll judge you about it later. So yeah, those are the two really, really big things. And the third one, just to preach love. So many times we get caught up, especially in the churches that I've been, in my formative years, a lot of these people are doing things wrong, these people, but I really, really appreciate how St. Paul's is. What are you doing? What am I doing? Am I doing what's best for me and for my family and for God? Am I really following his plan for me? And how do we even figure what that out is? So it's very introspective versus evangelical, which I really, really appreciate.
I love that. Yeah. What's your favorite memory in your life at St. Paul's?
Um, there are a lot. I think one of my early favorite memories is one of our first fellowship, or one of our first potlucks with the church, and just seeing Eleanor, my daughter, just run around and play with the other kids, and she was yelling, and people were glad that she was there, glad that she was making a joyful noise versus shh, you're a kid, you should be quiet. So that was another thing that just fully embraced us and just showed the love in this community, that you don't have to fit into this little box, that you can come however you show up, and that's perfect. It's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mm, yeah. And let's see, what are you most thankful for in our common life at St. Paul's?
I think I'm most thankful for, I think, the dedication that people really have to St. Paul's. We joined just a few years before the big move from West Elizabeth, and just to see that people really are dedicated to St. Paul's and the idea of St. Paul's. Um, and I'll get to it a little bit later, but just in another question. But yeah, just the dedication to St. Paul's and the dedication to one another, that really watch out for one another and make sure that everyone's doing okay.
Yeah. Why are you still a part of St. Paul's?
I'm still part of St. Paul's because I feel that dedication. I try and live that dedication of just being dedicated to St. Paul's. And I think my favorite thing is it doesn't mean showing up every Sunday, never missing choir practice, but it means that when you can, you show up. That when you have time, when you have the mental space, the mental capacity to show up, that's great. That's all that we need to be St. Paul's. And that if like church cleanup day, if you can't make it until 10, there are other people there at 8 already doing the work, and that's 100% fine. So yeah, just I guess the grace that this community really, really shows to one another, that you don't have to be 100% perfect 100% of the time. We really, really do show grace to one another and hopefully our community as well.
That's what I see kind of running through your answers, is that sense of grace and that sense of commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, last question. In your St. Paul's experience, when have you felt a special sense of community or presence with God or one another?
Mm-hmm. And this is what I alluded to earlier, but for me, it was really the decommissioning of the old church.
Wow.
That, because I only spent, compared to others, just a short amount of time there, but it was really, really special. And I thought I would feel more sad that happened, but again, it was just the people, the community. It was us. We are the church. It's not the building. The building, we are St. Paul's. The building has a role, but at the end of the day, it's us. And so I thought it'd be way more sad about the building going down. Now seeing what's built there is this huge, brick, kind of mixed residential commercial building. But St. Paul's is still around. We are still here. We are still carrying on, the original mission of the church. So that was a really, really special. I was very, really glad to be a part of that, and thankfully had time in my schedule that I could be there. To just, that the church doesn't end there. We carry it in us. We are the church. So yeah, that was really, really special.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts and feelings with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely my pleasure. It's been great.